What's going on? What's going on? Good evening, good evening, good evening, go getters. How's it going? Happy Wednesday. Welcome back to the Getting the Win show. I am your host, Melissa T, the procrastination bully. And we've got a lot to talk about today. So shout out to you if you're joining me here live on the live stream. And shout out to the replay squad if you can't quite make it at 6 p.m. Eastern to join me on the live stream. That's all right. That's all right. We got you. But I wanted to firstly, you know, give you guys a recap of the drum roll author activation weekend. You guys heard me talking about the author activation weekend for several weeks now, on several different episodes, and letting you guys know what the author activation weekend would entail. Talking about the different ways that I would help the aspiring authors that would join me for that weekend to finish their manuscripts, become authors. And so I'll just dive into it without further ado in terms of what our attendees experienced and what I experienced. I mean, I had the honor of working with an intimate group of about 6 people, 5 in the room and 1 attending virtually. Shout out to our girl Cecilia. She attended virtually. I so appreciate her support. But yeah, we this was a transformational weekend for all of us that were involved. And that was always the goal for me. It was always to create an event that was going to be transformational for the authors who were in attendance. And the beautiful thing is, just like last year, we had authors who were in different stages of the process. Some were coming from scratch, they had never written a book before and were walking through my framework for the very first time. And then I had some who were authors before. They published books before. Shout out to Jessica Holly. She's my ride or die, man. She's my co-host, and she was there working on her next book. So there was that as well. And then I was there working on the Pain to Prose playbook. So I was following my own framework, as my coach ET would say. I was eating my own cooking, and yeah, it was quite a powerful and transformational experience for all who were involved. We had some incredible speakers. We had a speaker who has extensive expertise in getting to the New York Times bestseller list. So shout out to Brandon B. Burns, who came through, and he chose to make an appearance twice during the weekend. He spoke during the VIP day, which was Thursday, and provided some kind of essentials for authors to know. He touched a little bit on marketing, touched a little bit on the things we were going to need to know in terms of writing our books while we were writing, the things we were going to need to know after the book was published, like once it was out and available for everyone to purchase. He gave us a sort of high level overview of what would be necessary to be an author. So shout out to him. And then additionally, he returned on Saturday evening and then gave a deep dive into book marketing. So everyone that attended had quite the crash course, like at the highest level, from the perspective of someone that wants to get on the New York Times bestseller list. He gave us the blueprint for getting on the list, which, wow, like that's invaluable information. And our authors came away with that. But of course, the bulk of the weekend was to get them writing. And we had roughly 15 hours worth of writing time over the course of the weekend. I gave them the first book building block during Friday evening after Jessica Holly did a session. She taught people how to reframe their personality styles and their experience into their book, how to channel all of that information into writing their book. Candace Johnson Mackey, shout out to her. She also spoke, and she helped our authors learn to think about their traumas differently based on the extreme execution flight assessment. She allowed them and empowered them to take a little of the bite out of their trauma by developing a sense of emotional awareness, self awareness, while also looking at the person or persons that hurt them or caused the trauma, whether intentionally or unintentionally, based on that same flight assessment. Like now that you know how you behave, what your natural behavior style is, what do you believe that other person's behavior style is? And now that you know all four of them, was that person in their natural behavior or were they in their adaptive? And how does that recontextualize what they did or said or didn't do to or for you in that situation? It was a very freeing workshop that Candace did, and she had all of us scribbling. She had us do, I believe, 3 different reflection prompts that were game changers. So shout out to Candace Johnson Mackey. She did an incredible job there. And Candace was there starting from scratch. And she had powerful breakthroughs over the weekend as it relates to her book as she was going through my framework. And we even managed to have some sort of breakout sessions that were unplanned. And that was fun. Like having the unplanned breakout sessions, man, that was refreshing because it was a fun departure from the schedule, which was quite packed. You know what I mean? So shout out to shout out to Rosalie Thomas in the building. She's like, yeah, yeah. So Miss Rosalie Thomas was there. She was the gem that the attendees didn't know they needed. Like my mom and my brother were on tap as crew slash gourmet chefs. They were the bomb and part of the executive fun team. You know what I mean? Like these guys made the experience so much more fun for the attendees, not only by feeding them cuisine that was exquisitely tasty, but also just in conversation. Like they were able to share their thoughts and their humor and their wit and just themselves with the attendees, and the attendees fell in love with them, which I knew was going to happen because I live with these people. Like to know them is to love them. You know what I mean? And I'm super honored that the attendees got to meet them and fall in love with them as well. It was an extra value add that they weren't expecting and didn't know they needed. And they came away so much more enriched and transformed by meeting my family and getting a taste of that good old Jamaican cuisine. You know what I mean? The menu was predominantly American cuisine, given where we were. We were in Sevierville, Tennessee, which is nestled in Tennessee's Smoky Mountains. So we had the sort of rustic forest, lush green environment. We wanted that sort of American vibe because last year we did a taste of the tropics. So we focused primarily on Jamaican cuisine last year. Like Jamaica was the theme. We had flags all around the venue at the time. But this year we kept it American, but we had to jazz it up, you know what I'm saying? Add a little Jamaican zhuzh to things. So the attendees definitely got that down home feel with us as it relates to that. So I was super excited to watch them have that much fun with my family, with the meals, with each other. Because there are folks there who had met maybe virtually or by phone, but had never met in person. So this particular event was the opportunity for them to come together for the first time ever. And seeing them meet each other, learn more about each other, and unpack things and grow closer was gratifying for me. Like, I so appreciate my attendees. Shout out to all of them. I've invited all of them to join me on tonight's live stream. So if every once in a while I'm talking, you see me pause to invite someone in, it's one of the attendees. So we shall see. It's not etched in stone. It was an invitation I gave them shortly before this live stream began because I listen to the Holy Spirit, y'all. God be talking to me. And that was one of the things he told me right before I was preparing to come on live with you. It was like, well, shoot out the invitation, send them the link. If anybody's available to come on, let them join so you can talk to them. So I think that'll be fun for sure. The other thing that was super gratifying for me this year was the fact that we doubled in size for this year's event. Last year, it was hyper intimate. It was 4 attendees. We were in Davenport. Shout out to, that property in Davenport, a nice space. Everybody was in one place. Everybody had all the room they needed. We had a pool, everything, pool and hot tub. It was a nice, quaint environment, very tropical, palm trees all over the place. It was beautiful. This year, twice the attendees on a property that was twice the size. And I kid you not, y'all, the property that we were able to book for this year's author activation weekend was very similar in size and layout and nature to a property that I had included in my vision journal back in 2024 for the year 2025. Now, in my vision journal for 2025, my dream home was a 10,000 square foot mansion, one part of which would be an in-law suite. Can I tell you the property that we booked for this year's author activation weekend was that? It wasn't the exact specific layout, but it was a mansion with an entire in-law suite, upstairs and downstairs, like two separate suites, upstairs and downstairs, that people could separately live in and have their space with their own kitchens to enjoy themselves. So, like, when I tell you this is one step closer to the vision God gave me from back in 2024, it is always exciting to have that kind of experience because then, as Lisa Nichols puts it, when you can touch the thing you want, even if you don't own it yet, when you put yourself in the space of the thing that you want and you're able to touch it, now there is zero gap between you and the thing you want in the future in terms of you actually acquiring it for yourself. There is no more gap. Once you touch the thing, it is available to you, which is why it's so important to get in the room. Any opportunity that you get where you get to be around people that are doing the thing that you want, people who have the thing that you want, it is so important to get in the room with them. And even if you don't have a long or deep conversation with them, get close enough just to shake their hand and introduce yourself. Just the act of shaking their hand completely closes the distance between you and the thing that you want, or you and the result that you want, whether it's a tangible item or a result. You close that gap. Okay. There's a little bonus lesson thing there, which was awesome. As I mentioned before, I did invite my attendees to come on to the live stream. So one of our folks is here. Shout out to the one and only JR, Mr. David Nesbitt Jr. What's going on, bro?
Hey, Mel T, what's going
How
on
you
with
doing?
you? I'm all right.
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Look, I was trying to make my background look important like yours. You know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm over here trying to get my camera straight. I'm like, yeah, let me do the resolution, boy. You know what I'm saying? Tight
I
joint, but I'm trying to change my background. But it was awesome, man. It was a weekend full of real real activation, real call to action.
mhm.
It was one of those things where you had to step up and show out. You couldn't stay in your shell, and a lot of people that did come through had some really like true ventures on becoming the author or finishing their second book or starting their second book. And it was like, yo, these people have already been here and done that, but there was missing certain things. It was the DVD framework is now something that I'm looking at real quick. It's called Destinate. It's DVD framework is destination, the vehicle that you're driving, and the direction that you're going. And I
Mm.
feel like that's really where you was at with it. The destination was activation weekend. The vehicle that we drove in, it was anything leading into the actual formation and formula of building or writing your book and starting. And then the direction, where do you want to go from there, like the community and different things of that nature.
Awesome. Yeah, and I appreciate you for all the work that you've been doing because you and I have been working one on one on your book before before coming to the author activation weekend.
Mhm.
And the fact that you came essentially with a completed draft, it's just that like this weekend you were able to make some major tweaks after learning from the folks that were teaching us there. So, and even the tweaks that you were able to make using Claude, like wow, like I saw the feedback that Claude was providing, and it took your book to the next level, man. So I'm super proud of you and what you were able to accomplish.
Yes, man, definitely. It was definitely worth it. And I would say this is that listen, I don't know if you need to keep if you need to buy the version, but I'm thinking I might have to go ahead and slide that little, $20 and see what the upgraded version does. But it doesn't I tell you this, one of the biggest things I'm learning now is like I'm going back and tweaking some stuff right now, and I've got 4 chapters to go. But
Okay.
in the sense of just tweaking everything that I have. I was like, yeah, I got 67,000 words, blah, 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 blah. And then it turned it down to 57. You know what I'm saying? Or you get what I'm saying? So it just shows you where you are in your mindset and then what it looks like in visually. And I was like, yeah, I got it. I'm done. And I'm ready. Because I want to win my cupcakes. I didn't know if I was into it. But even if I didn't, even if I won, I still would give another person a chance to go ahead and get them because they deserve, the cupcakes. I don't know how sweet they are. They said it was good, but yeah. But I'm just about actually with 1 to about 3 more 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'm actually at that point where you can just manuscript, read the whole thing, see, and it should flow. That's where I'm
Nice.
at with it.
I love it. I love it. Once you're officially done and like book packaged together, because you already have your cover design, which is fire. But once it's like out, what are your plans for it? What do you plan to use the book to do?
Well, to lead into the um, accountability accelerator program that's coming up,
Mhm.
also lead into the community, building that because I got that program going on, doing all that, and turn around and just be able to get ready for book number 2. Though I know
Ooh,
that's gonna be pretty good, and be able to use this book to actually talk at seminars or host or anything like that to schools and different things of that nature. Because a lot of things that I thought about I was going to put in the book, and
mhm.
it just ate me alive.
Oh,
So, in the sense of like, because I had a little bit of cursing, mild cursing, but it took it out.
okay,
But
okay.
no, we're not even going down that road. So, and inspire other people to do the same and let you know that like it goes from I went from a podcast to my first book. So, and I'm hoping that can lead to me being on stage at keynote speaker or
Mhm.
TED Talk or schools and inspiring other individual males and females that they can do it. It just starts from one thing, It's definitely challenging.
I hear
Tell
you.
you
That's
that.
good. It is. And this is why community is so important. Like you've got to have that. Like doing a book alone is doable, but not recommended. Like because there's so much involved in the process. You know what I mean? It's much better to do it like with a community, with a team of people, or even with just one other person. Like in the same way that you and I have been working on it, you get further faster with just even one other person. You know what I mean?
True. So that's it, man. And I think I gotta check this out, but something that goes along with the brand. I just did it today. Coming up with a second podcast called the Consistency Code Podcast.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
And it focuses on the DVD framework. So, I'm looking at seeing if that's not taken.
Okay. Yeah.
But I'm going for men and women from 18 to 45.
Okay.
That's the range I'm going to go for. And I got the 20 solo episodes, and then 20 episodes ideas and concepts for guests. Um, and this one I'm opening up to virtual. I really don't like
Mhm.
it, but you know, little birdie tapped on my shoulder and was like, "You should do this," and blah 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 blah. And, and
Hey, be careful.
I really don't want to do virtual. I like for in person because people, once you build up, I guess you can go all virtual. I mean, you can go on lives and different things of that nature in the sense of in
Mhm.
persons. So,
Mhm.
but a lot of things came from it. So, I'm hoping to really grow the book, grow the new pod, as well as take off, man. Like, shoot.
Awesome. 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 So let folks know where they can find you in the meantime in case they're curious about what you're doing and want to start,
Right
want
now, you can go
to.
to elevatewithjr.com. That's my
Cool.
website. So that way you can follow me, or you can email me at info@elevatewithjr.com and tap in. Yep.
Awesome. Awesome. I got you, bro. Thank you so much for stopping by and sharing your experience.
Listen,
It
thank you
means a lot.
for allowing me to be in the room. I just want to say one side thing is that a lot of people are afraid to get in the room, and so don't be afraid. You really definitely open the door for upcoming authors, past authors, and even things that you might have learned. You are the woman for the job. Like God has called you forward to lead the pack. And I feel like how we talked about the staff. I feel
Yep.
like the book is your staff to open up to people. So 2027 going to be even bigger and even more
Absolutely.
sponsors.
Yes. Absolutely. I agree with you on that. Appreciate you, bro.
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Take care. Peace. All right, y'all. So I have the honor and privilege of bringing on not only an attendee, but also my co host and chief executive fund officer, the one and only Jessica Holly. Jessica, what's up?
Hey y'all. Thanks for having me on. You know what? It's so funny. I actually thought to myself earlier today, I was like, after spending a handful of days with you, a long weekend, I'm like, I miss LT. And I'm just, on socials, and I'm like, yes, I see a podcast appearance, and I know an episode is dropping tonight. And look, here we are.
Yes, absolutely. 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 So, yeah, please, you wore so many hats. Like, fill our people in on exactly what the weekend looked like for you. Because not only were you like co-hosting with me, you were also working on a book yourself this weekend, you know, helping with the tech and stuff. Like, talk about what your experience was for the weekend.
Okay, so I'll start with what you just said, doing the multiple roles, wearing a lot of hats. Um I'm a flight attendant, I'm a pilot. I'm that crazy girl, and we was in that one conference together, and you were like, "Yes, I'm an author, and one day I would like to." And I'm like, "Yes, she's doing a writer's retreat." And you were just like, "Okay, girl, that's a lot. Maybe one day." And I'm like, "Yes, one day, like let's put a date on it." I Because I was like, "Oh yeah, do the thing." And being your biggest cheerleader in that aspect, I was pretty much just like, whoever you need me to be in whatever role you need me to fill, so that you could be successful at putting on the writers retreat. I didn't notice until putting on my participant hat that one of
Hmm.
the other speakers actually pointed out, when you are in the process of event planning, the different roles that people would hold and fill in. And I was also still so busy wearing so many hats that I took all of the notes for what to do to fill in all of these roles when I do my event. But then I didn't think about it that I'm like, oh, wait a minute, let me get my clipboard so I can put my co host hat back on. We need these people to fill in these positions in the future or next year. And so yeah, that I was able to see in real time by paying attention to the teaching and tutelage of other speakers that you brought in, that I'm like, okay, as this thing grows and it's built out, for me to show up better as your right hand in this retreat, I'm like, okay, I'm going to have to delegate out some of the other things that I do. And I was able to learn some of those groupings of things that I do, actually put a title to, okay, set one of things that I do, I need to fill in a person here. Set two of the things that I do, I need to put a person here. Set three, I need to delegate this to someone to handle, these 3 to 4 things. And it was definitely an enriching experience all over. It's helping me on one of my goals that we talked about last year, with me learning
Mhm.
to be a better pilot as I grow, as you grow, and some of the other people in our inner circle as we grow. I have to be a better pilot. If I'm gonna be the pilot and say, everybody listen to me, until listening to you guys is required, I have to be the best pilot that I can show up as, if I'm going to take on so many roles, do it properly, make sure that the thing comes off without a hitch, but also know when, okay, I know what these roles are. I have to delegate these things out, but to properly delegate them out, that means that I have to do the proper planning. I have to give people SOPs for, this is what is required of you in this role. Now go, I can hold you to the standard of, I need you to execute this as well as I would have done myself when I was doing 50 things.
That part. Yeah, it's quite a lot, and you did the thing. You did that. Candace, made sure to point that out too. Like at the very
Yeah.
end, she was like, "Can we just applaud Jess?" Like she was wearing so many hats, which very true. And yeah, I agree with you in terms of like the SOPs and like making sure we document every detail, like every detail, and prepping the tech in the way that we would like it to look, and making sure that the check-in process is seamless, transporting people is seamless, which by the way, side note for you watching, that was a feature we had the privilege of adding this year that wasn't available last year. Like
Mhm.
this year we were able to provide ground transportation for anybody that was flying in, and it was really great to be able to do that. Shout out to JR, who was also on here just now. He was instrumental in transporting folks to and from the airport who needed it. So that gave our attendees that even deeper VIP experience. Like, not only are you having an immersive VIP experience on site, but you're also getting the full thing, like from the airport. You're being treated like a VIP, and then while you're there, because our VIPs got insane swag bags. They got a shirt, you know what I mean? And since this is an author activation, an author intensive, other authors were gracious enough to give away copies of their book. So the VIPs got, I want to say like 3 books, Jess, if I'm correct.
Two
Yeah,
or
like
three
three
books
or
were in our
four.
swag bag. Yeah.
Yeah. So powerful books, branded pens, and an author activation weekend shirt. Like, man, like you doing good. In a nice bag too. It wasn't like one of those cheapo, you know, one of those cheapo bags, no shade. But it was a nice black
Uh,
velvet, very
With
luxury.
is this velvet?
Yes. Yes. Black velvet bag. Oh, shout out to mom. She's giving you some love. She said, Jess, you did great.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And shout out to Jess Abraham, boundaries queen. Come through SOPs, talk that ATC talk pilot. Absolutely, Jazz.
Look, I only got 10. And so that y'all will keep me around, I gotta make sure that I use my little bit of 10 in that ATC category to the utmost. And you were actually one of the people, you were the person, not one of the people, you were the person that pointed out to me that you know what, my little 10 to ATC is good enough. And I use it for powering my flight attendant and my pilot so that I can improve the experience for anybody around me. And I'm like, ah, yes, let me take my little 10 and use this superpower to power my other superpowers so that we can all get back to the fun. Okay. Get that work done first, though.
That part, that part. And speaking of the work, I would love to hear your thought on the experience with the writing blocks, because obviously we had some like deep work blocks. We're talking like
Mhm.
4, sometimes 5 hours, depending on the day, right? What was that like for you? Like, were you somebody that was working the full block straight, or were there times where you had to get up and like let your brain breathe for a minute? What was that experience like for you?
So for me, because I was wearing multiple hats, I actually only ended up writing about 50% of the time during the writing blocks. And for me, I made sure to, I'm like, your experience is subjective, but numbers don't lie. So, what I did pay attention to during the writing blocks was how many minutes was I writing? How much of the time block did I actually use for writing, ideation, and working on my book intensely, actually concentrating on that thing? And how many words I was able to complete for getting out my rough draft, my chapters in my rough draft. And
Hmm.
so for the writing time, what I actually ended up doing, I came to the table with a concept for a new book. I knew all of the things and had all these notes for what I wanted my book to be, but all of that stuff wasn't organized. You guys heard me say earlier, I look, my ATC, I got 10. So organization, it may not be my thing when you're talking about a linear process, which once your book is complete, it does need to be in a linear process. And so I went back to the drawing table when you talked about um, using our table of contents and using our outline. And I took a look at my outline and I said, okay, across these 8 chapters, I have quite a few concepts. I know that I would like to hit all of these different points. Let me use AI strategically so that I can help to organize my thoughts through several different of the steps within the framework. Did all of the things. And we talked a bit about how AI is used as a tool to help you write your book. It doesn't write the book for you. And because AI doesn't write the book for you, I had just completely written off using AI in doing my book at all. I'm just straight going from brain to computer, brain to pen to paper. And once I got that tidbit, mm, I know in the long run, it saves me a lot of time, but that was one of those moments where I was going full steam ahead in my process of writing because I just wanted to get all the things out, get all of the things out. What I did was all of the things that were kind of just like a balled up, just a bunch of stuff. I put a paragraph of all of my thoughts and all of my points into AI and requested that it give me back a linear outline for the book and organize my thoughts for me. And
Hmm.
from there, I found out that I did not have an 8 chapter book. I actually have a 16 chapter book with 5 separate themes and an introduction. Let's see. And what else do I owe you guys? An introduction and a conclusion tying everything together. So overall, what I thought was going to be 8 chapters will end up being 20 chapters. So I was able to get through, I completed the weekend with about 40, between 40 and 45,000 words. And that was just with typing out my manuscript half of the time during the writing blocks that you or I guess we built into the schedule. And the other half of the time that I wasn't writing during the writing blocks is because I was wearing all of my other hats, doing things, making sure that all the guests were good, looking at our run of show, all of those different things, back end stuff. But with being able to get information to organize all of my thoughts into an outline that put it in a linear fashion, I was able to begin writing faster. And I think I definitely noticed the difference between day one of doing our writing blocks. Um, was I was kind of just writing and sort of all over the place. At the beginning of day two, after wearing my participant hat and listening to some of the classes that we had during the weekend, that's when I said, oh, hold on. Let me put a pin in it and not rush ahead. Let me back up a little bit, implemented the AI. And then from there, I was able to actually, I took about an hour or an hour and a half of one of the writing blocks so that everything that I had written so far I could go ahead and organize it into which of the chapters that it belonged to. And I was able to take my old outline with all of my thoughts all over the place in a fashion that I felt was organized and compare that to what the actual organized format looks like. And I, line by line, did the comparison so that I could check off every point that I had typed out when I thought that I made a linear outline. I was able to check off all of those things in the body of the outline. And there were also places where I'm like, oh, I never thought about that. I'm talking so fast that I have to fill in this information for the reader. So I know that other writers definitely have gotten further than I did in the weekend with me writing for half of the amount of time, but I was still able to get a nice chunk of work done during those writing blocks. And the organization factor with that, just that little tidbit with AI, that helped. I would say that was the smallest thing that had the greatest impact for my writing journey, as far as, since this is my second year and we work together, I'm like, okay, I know the framework, I know all the things. There's always something else that you can pull from it because now I'm working on a different book, different mindset, I'm doing a different thing.
I love it. I love it. And I love that you're able to still get that much of your book done, even with wearing all the other hats, which speaks to the effectiveness of the framework. Like, this is still doable. Like, even with all the other stuff I got going on, like, this is still doable and still followable. Um, we have our post event conversations where we're gonna tweak that foundation framework because the
Hmm.
foundation, the process is front heavy. You who are watching and listening, the process of writing a book is front heavy. You do a lot long before you ever start writing words on a page. And our team is working on like streamlining that process and getting a lot of that done before arrival on site. So that by the time you get on site, you're just writing, you're just filling the pages. So shout out to you, Jess, for all of the hats that you wore. You did indeed do an incredible job, and I so appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you for just letting me be a part of it.
Absolutely. Where can folks follow you if they're curious about what you got going on? They see the pretty sign behind you. What does that mean? Where can they follow you?
Okay, so you guys can find me on Instagram at Everybody Can't Go Convos Pod or Everybody Can't Go Convos Pod, however you like to pronounce it. And you can also find me on YouTube at Everybody Can't Go Convos podcast, and also on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find me at Everybody Can't Go Convos. And yeah, if you have questions for me directly, I mean, the DMs are open, comments are open. You can send an email to info@everybodycg.com. And yeah, you can find me in all those places.
Awesome. I appreciate you, Jess. Thank you so much for your time, for jumping
Of
on.
course.
We definitely got to do a recap episode on your pod as well. It's always fun to come on your pod, yo.
Look, you know my fans love you, my listeners love you. They like, oh yeah, Mel T back. Of course,
Yeah.
we setting that up. We got a meeting on Friday, so boom, it's in the post joint.
Hey, appreciate you. You take care. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, So that ends the author activation weekend recap for those who were curious about that. And if you want to learn more about the author activation weekend, maybe you're just now hearing about it and you're curious to learn a little bit more, feel free to go to myauthorweekend.com. That is myauthorweekend.com. You'll see the information for the one that just finished, but you still get the gist of what to expect when you come to an author activation weekend. You'll see the highlight reel of what we did last year, and you'll see what attendees were able to expect for this year. So shout out to our lovely folks who came out this year to Tennessee to join us in the mountains. It was a great event. Shout out to the folks that came out to Central Florida last year for that event. Also a great and fun time. I put thanks in the comments, but I do want to bring these comments back up to reply to you guys like in real time on screen. So thank you so much, Miss Sonia Sagri. Shout out to my auntie. That's my fam. She's so supportive. She's always tuning in and always asking for the episodes, by the way. So thank you for your patience, because last week there was no episode because I was hosting that weekend, the author activation weekend. So I was very involved in what was going on. So there was no episode last week. So thank you. Shout out to you for your continued support. Mosley Thomas, as always, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And as I mentioned before, the Jazz Abraham. Shout out to the Jazz Abraham, host of the Boundaries and More podcast. If you're somebody that is overworked, you're frustrated, and you feel like you don't have your voice, you don't have any boundaries, or boundaries are a challenge for you, check out her podcast on YouTube, the Boundaries and More podcast. She's your go-to person if you need to put your foot down, like straight up. That's no cap. She's really great at it. Shout out to Miss Cheryl, sorry, mispronounced it. Thank you so much, fam, as well. Miss Cheryl is family as well. I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you so much for the love. Jess, of course, everybody can go. Yes, I appreciate the love from you guys. So now, as promised, I did mention that this episode does have its own purpose. The author activation weekend was a portion of the conversation, but I did want to share the 5 shifts that can help you become an author. If becoming an author seems daunting for you, you feel that you don't have the time to do it right now, it seems like it's complicated, or it's going to be too expensive for you, or it's going to take too long. Being an author is a process. Becoming an author is a process, but it doesn't have to take as long as you might think. You can become an author in as little as 90 days. Like, it's possible. You can become an author in as little as a month, believe it or not. But if you're talking about becoming an author in a time frame that is breathable and doable, 90 days is good. Like, it is possible to become an author in 90 days. You are very welcome. Shout out to Auntie Sonia. And then, of course, Jess, like, boundaries. I agree with you. I was somebody that needed them. So Jess Abraham was my person. She helped me put my foot down when I needed to put it down. She gave me the language I needed. So yeah, there are 5 shifts that you will need to become an author. And I want to share these with you because they're free, first of all, and they're simple. Not always easy, but simple. So I want to share these with you, especially if you're on the fence right now. Like, if all you need is this one little extra push, allow me to give you that push this episode, okay? I'll run through these quickly because I see what time it is. Shout out to you guys who are still here rocking with me. So shift number 1, believe that your voice and experience matter. And I mentioned this in the short that I did this morning, the YouTube short that I did this morning. If you can have the belief that your voice, your experience, your lessons, your expertise matters and has the power to transform people, you will be able to create the book, because the book will be your means of transformation. But you have to first believe that your voice matters. For many years, I did not think so. Like, I had surrendered my voice. And I did an episode previously where I talked about that, about how to reclaim your voice. But this is number one. This is the first shift you've got to make. Believe that your voice and experience matter. And this is with fiction or nonfiction. It doesn't matter. Because if you want to do a fiction book, you have to believe that your imagination is valid, that your imagination is worth placing in the pages and putting on a bookshelf or a virtual bookshelf for someone to purchase and read. So that's shift number one. Believe that your voice and experience matter. Okay. It's it's essential. Okay. I'm going over my notes really quickly because I want to make sure I don't miss a thing. All right. Believe that your experiences, your lessons, and your framework have the power to transform people. So good. Made sure I covered that. Believe that your ideal reader exists. This is number two. Because another question or limiting belief that I'll hear sometimes when I'm talking to people about the possibility of becoming authors, they'll say, "Who would want to read my book?" Or "Who's going to take it seriously?" They're wondering. Or the other version of that is, what if it fails? What if the book flops? And the question I always ask to that one is, by whose standards? According to what rubric? You're the author, so you get to determine the purpose for your book, and you get to determine what the goals are, what the key performance indicators are going to be. The book doesn't flop unless you stop or unless you never start in the first place. Okay? So believe that your ideal reader exists, because your ideal reader does exist. 8.2 billion people on the planet, trust me, your ideal reader exists. 8.2 billion people on the planet, with 4 billion having access to the internet. Your ideal reader exists. They may not even be in the United States, and that's okay. I have an episode 90 of the Getting the Win show, where I share several distribution and publishing options to get your book out internationally beyond Amazon. Because Amazon is the godfather, it's the Google for books, but it's not the only means by which you can be published. Like, the US market isn't the only market available to you, the world is available to you. Okay. So, shift number two, believe that your ideal reader exists. And connected to this, become insatiably curious about your target reader. So, in a previous episode, I shared an AI prompt that you can use to learn more about your ideal reader before you ever start writing. So, you would ask the AI, you are the senior editor at the top the top publishing company in the United States. This is my topic. This is my genre. Research the top 10 New York Times best-selling books in my topic and genre. And then tell me about my target readers who buy these books. What are their pain points? What are they struggling with? What is the transformation they're looking for when they buy these books? You can ask your AI tool all of these things and get a wealth of information about your target reader. AI is really great for market research. So, yeah, believe that your ideal reader exists, because he or she does, for sure. The next shift, believe that you can revisit your trauma, or at least be self-aware enough to understand that if it is troubling right now to revisit the trauma, that it's okay to seek therapy. What I'm challenging you to do, though, if you have this trauma or this transition that you've been through, but you're not ready to go back to talk about it or revisit it, is know that you can't stay the way you are. That's the one thing I want to challenge you with. Don't be okay with staying where you are. And when I say therapy, we normally automatically assume talk therapy, right? Talk therapy isn't the only form of therapy out there. Art therapy is a thing, writing therapy is a thing, and my whole thing is healing through writing. One of my goals with the author activation weekend was to help people heal through writing. And everybody that attended were transformed. They were transformed by the time they left. Shout out to Dana Bell, who is a licensed mental health counselor. She's an actual therapist. She came on Thursday during the VIP day. And she said, in no uncertain terms, she said, hey, if you're writing a book based on your trauma, you will need therapy. You absolutely will. Like, don't try to write the book without it. So Just know that you can revisit your trauma. This is the belief that you're going to need, or else you won't write the book at all. Like you'll never want to revisit the trauma. But believe that you can revisit it. And if you know that you cannot in the moment, be okay with the fact that seeking therapy is an option for you. And it's an action step. You know you need therapy? Let's get on these action steps. And I'll be sure to include in the show notes once we come off the live stream, to include the episode where I went over that. I provided free options that can help you work through revisiting your trauma, even if you don't want to go through formal, official therapy. You can conduct therapy with yourself. You can do the inner work yourself without necessarily seeking a therapist. There are ways to do it. So I'll put the link for that episode in the show notes so you guys have that. Yes, shout out to Jessica. Revisit, not relive the trauma. And that was one of the sessions. That was Dana's session during the VIP night. Revisit, not relive the trauma. There is a way to do it. There is a way to set intention when you're going back to those memories, to tell yourself, hey, we're not going back there to get lost. We're going back there to get the lessons. What were the red flags we ignored? What were the actions we did not take? And for those that we didn't take, is it because we didn't want to or because we actually could not? What were those challenges? Becoming aware of your own behavior style, taking the extreme execution flight assessment, and understanding your natural behavior style and how you behave in your adaptive. In other words, for you listening and you're like, what does adaptive mean? This is the second time I've heard you say it. Being in your adaptive is how you behave when you're under scrutiny or under pressure. So you're second guessing yourself. You're being far more careful about your decisions and what you say. So you're not in your natural flow of being. You're not necessarily relaxed. You're being way more careful. So how did you behave during that time of transition or trauma where you were being extra careful? And how did that affect your decision making? Shout out to Miss Laverne. Yes, revisit. Revisit the trauma, not relive it. Very important. Okay. So that's shift number 3. Believe that you can revisit the trauma, or be okay with seeking therapy if you can't do it right now. But don't stay the way you are. Okay. That's number 3. Number 4, believe that you have the power. I talked about this a little bit earlier, to transform people. Have the belief that your lessons, your expertise, your revelations, your framework, if you come up with one or use AI to come up with one, believe that those things have the power to transform people, because they do. You're watching an example. Even if you doubt yourself, you're looking at and hearing somebody who is an example. I'm a self-published author, 9-time self-published author, going on 10. Like the Pain to Prose playbook will be number 10. And I just took the experiences I had in self-publishing all of those books. The publishing industry has transformed a lot since my first book came out in 2012. A lot. The landscape has shifted. And even God used me and brought me back to the publishing world to do stuff like this, to pivot this podcast to focus on authors, and then to do a live event like the Author Activation Weekend. I didn't think that was going to be me. Didn't think that was going to be me at all. However, he knew what his plans were for me. He said, 1, talk to procrastinators because you know their pain points. And then 2, pivot it to people procrastinating on their books. And people who have been through a trauma or transition will delay on writing their book for the reason we talked about before, the revisiting, not reliving the trauma, right? But have the belief that you can transform people, that what you know can and will transform people. And that's no pressure. That's actually very empowering. It's exciting to know that, at least for me, because that's how I'm wired. And it's my name. Melissa means honeybee. My whole purpose on this earth is to help other people blossom. So I receive life. I get life and joy by unlocking things in people, turning the light bulb on for people as it relates to this author journey, because it's possible. Okay. Now, shift number 5 is by far the most difficult, even for your girl. Be prepared to talk about yourself, your book, and your transformation repeatedly. Be prepared to talk about it. Like, we've been taught not to toot our own horn. But the truth of the matter is, if you're going to sell something, a product or service, and in this case, your book, unfortunately, you got to talk about it. You have to toot your own horn because people don't know you yet. The only way they can know you is to hear you, to see you, to hear what you're talking about, hear what transformation you offer, hear what transformation you've been through. Because the transformation you've been through is what makes you relatable. I was just watching an interview with Tim Ross and Sarah Jakes Roberts. Tim Ross went on to her podcast because he's promoting his new book. And one of the things he said was his favorite thing about Jesus is the Garden of Gethsemane, because that was the most relatable moment in Jesus' entire earthly existence for him. Like, Tim Ross was like, outside of that moment, like all the miracles and all the things we see and hear Jesus do, like, he comes across like a superhero, not nearly as relatable. But that moment right there, where you have your people, and Tim phrased it in a way that I never thought of before. Tim said, when you bring your closest friends to pray for a thing that you know God's not going to answer. That was mind blowing. I was like, ooh, how many of us have been guilty of praying for something we know God's going to say no to? And then asking our friends to join us in that prayer. Right? But this was a thing that made Jesus more relatable. Your transformation, your transition, the trauma that you came through is what makes you relatable. And you've got to be prepared to talk about that as often as possible, as often as necessary. And that's okay. No, you're not being prideful. No, you're not being too much. Haley Melinda Record, who is an international speaker, she lives in Dubai, like moved to Dubai last year. Like, she's doing that well in the speaking world. But one of the things she said last year during one of the live events I attended, she said, "You're too broke to not be visible." That stepped on my toes, knocked me in the gut, and slapped me in the face all at the same time. That was a lot. But she's not wrong. And she's speaking from experience, because Haley's somebody who's been in the speaking world since she was 15 years old. She took her first speaking gig at 15 years old. It was a free one. She was speaking in schools at the time. But she's in her, I want to say, early 30s now. So she's been at this for a while. So she knows what she's talking about. You're too broke to not be visible. Or, as it relates to the book, even if you're not broke, because you could be a wealthy person who's unpublished, but in the publishing world, in the world where readers live, you're still not visible yet. And in order to become visible, you're going to have to talk about it. Talk about your transition. Talk about your transformation. Revisit the trauma and pull the lessons out so that the people coming up behind you can know what to do, either because they're in it or they're heading into it. So you've got to be able to toot your own horn and get comfortable with doing that, and know that there's nothing wrong with doing it. It's not sinful. It's not prideful. It's necessary for your book to transform as many people as God assigned it to. Okay. And then here's a bonus shift as we wrap up. Believe that the resources to create your book are accessible, because they are. You have me. You have people like Jessica, who she was just talking about, her process of writing a book. This will be, if I'm not mistaken, the book that Jessica was working on this weekend. This will be her 4th book, because she has Everybody Can't Go, and she has 2 journals out already, 2 Write the Vision journals out already. So this next one is going to be number 4 for her. And as you can see, your journey doesn't have to stop at just one book. You don't have to write more than one, but just know that once you start this process, don't be surprised if you discover you have more than one in you. It's great. You likely do have more than one in you because we're not one-dimensional beings. We have multiple experiences. We have multiple revelations that we get. We meet different types of people in our lives that can sharpen us in different ways. So absolutely. Shout out to Ms. Rosalie. She put ouch. Yeah, that was a big ouch. That was a big ouch. Absolutely. Jazz says, if we have the cold cure that could bless other people, it's our responsibility to share. Absolutely. Absolutely, Jazz. Who are we to not share what we know when the world needs it? And if you've been rocking with me for a while, you hear me say that all the time. The world needs what you know. The world needs what you know. Remember what I said, 8.2 billion people exist, 4 billion out of the 8.2 have access to the internet. The world needs what you know. They're waiting on you. I'm waiting on you because I'm here to help you blossom. I'm here to help. So if you believe you have a book within you, or enough other people have told you that you have a book in you, hit me up. Make sure that you're following this show. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe there at Getting the Win. You can follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and Threads at Getting the Win Show, at Getting the Win Show. That's Instagram, Pinterest, and Threads. You can find me on LinkedIn at Melissa Thomas. Melissa with 2 L's and 2 S's. You see my first name there on the screen. So find me on LinkedIn at Melissa Thomas. Drop me a DM if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, if you want to get involved in the Truth to Transformation Book Bootcamp, the next one, or if you want to join the waitlist for next year's Author Activation Weekend. Shoot me a DM on LinkedIn or shoot me a DM on Instagram. Follow me there first. Follow at Getting the Win Show, and then shoot me that DM letting me know you're interested so we can move forward and get your book done. We want to get you started, all right? But in the meantime and between time, thank you so, so, so much for joining me on the show today. Mentioned I was going to rebrand the channel, and I shall. So be on the lookout for a poll. I'm going to send you guys a poll with name ideas for the renaming of the show, because I do want it to be more easily searchable for the folks that are looking for a credible source to become an author and all the mindset shifts that are necessary to become one. So you guys will be in on the process. I won't do all of this stuff without you, because you guys have been rocking with me for quite some time now. October this year will mark 3 years of the podcast existence. So thank you all so much for continuing to rock with me. I appreciate you. In the meantime and between time, have a great and productive rest of your Wednesday and a great and productive rest of your week. Thank you, Ms. Rosalie. I appreciate you. Peace, y'all.